useful list for council.
I see. Well, my understanding was the direction that we gave last time in July was to have a list prepared so we could, get on it and look it over and start talking about specific sites. Of course, we would, council would have to agree that we think it's a good idea, and we haven't done that yet. But it makes it impossible. I mean, it's like maybe we'll see it in October. And it seems like we're dragging our feet here, and nothing's going to happen. And before we know it, the bad weather will be here, and the problem will still be there, and we won't even have chipped away at it just one little bit. So I'm kind of disappointed not to see a list of sites, and I would like to see that as quickly as possible.
One of the,
it's just, I mean, that's one of the first steps. And also, we need to decide as a council whether we want to do, have a transitional camp to begin with. And so I don't know if we'll make a decision today about that, but we need to decide that right off the bat. Otherwise, we can direct our energies in a different direction. But I favor that idea, and I favor the site on 13th, the Naval Reserve Center, as a transitional temporary place. It would be a pilot, and it would be for, I think it's really good to just go over again what's envisioned there from Opportunity Village is not a huge Occupy Eugene type of camp. That one didn't work so well. The one in 1993 worked by Austin Stadium, but it didn't work so well because you were mixing all these different populations with different needs and different abilities to live effectively in an environment like that. You had, chronic alcoholics, you had untreated people with untreated mental health problems and untreated drug problems, along with basically normal everyday people who just happen to be unhoused. And that's not going to work. Yes,
Mayor, I just responded in a couple ways. The council did ask us to start preparing a list of public and private properties, which we have started that analysis. I asked the staff not to bring a list, even a partial list today, really for a couple of reasons. One is we're not sure what needs to be on the list. So for example, if we're talking about a large camp versus small camps, the size of the site makes a big difference in that. So how do we know how to start narrowing down from 1 to several hundred? George talked today about before even something is on the list, we should notify the property owner of that. That's a whole other criteria. That wasn't a part of the initial direction from council. You might remember is when we're going through the Envision Eugene process, and this isn't exactly the same, but there's some analogy in there that we've done a lot of work up front about what is it we're even trying to accomplish, and then it's where, and we're even still in the process of identifying sites and trying to be very thoughtful about infrastructure and all of those kinds of things. So what will help us a lot is the more the council can help define what is the criteria you're looking for, then we can come back with sites that really start to meet those criteria. So it is a challenge for staff to do that, and which is why I asked them not to bring even the list that's not analyzed anyhow today.
Debbie?
Thank you. The city is not going to solve the homeless problem. I think one big thing we should be doing is urging the state to establish shelters. We need more homeless shelters. We used to have homeless shelters, we used to have mental institutions, we used to have orphanages, and there was a reason for all of those things. That will not do anything for us immediately, however, but that's something I think we should be doing long range. However, I do think the weather is an important factor. It's soon going to be maybe not cold, but wet and muddy, and if we can do some small part of helping some people who are transitional, I think we should do it. I thought the Opportunity Village proposal made sense. The people, we had volunteers develop a proposal for us, who had put a lot of thought into it, so that we did not have to do it, staff did not have to do it, and they were willing to do something which was temporary, not permanent. And the land is not a problem if we use land that the city already owns. I agree we shouldn't be talking about someone else's land without consulting them first. We did that once when we were talking about a new city hall, and it really upset someone. But I think when we have a group of volunteers who are really trustworthy, respected, knowledgeable people come to us with a plan and willing to execute it, that we might take advantage of that. I don't know whether we've thrown that out or not, but we seem to be ignoring it at the moment. That's what I think we should do, is take advantage of what volunteers have done for us. It wouldn't be a permanent camp. It would be, by its very nature, temporary. The land is designated for something else in the future. And it would be transitional. And I do think that what we want to do is not give people a permanent place to live, but help people who are temporarily without housing, which could happen to a lot of us, one paycheck. And so that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I'm glad to see that we had that kind of structured out that way. I want to move forward on the 6 recommendations of the task force and get into the specifics of them and what I think we need is this as a staff work plan that says, here's how we're going to do this, and here, for each of the 6 items and a schedule to do that. And this helps a little bit, but it's not quite the same thing. I think we need to move the site part along, and I too am not enamored with a site that looked like the Occupy site. That's not what I have in mind at all. More along the lines of Big League Village and the sites that we've seen in Seattle. So I'm supportive of a pilot of a smaller 20 to 30 person site, approval this fall. And I have specific criteria all throughout the list. I think it should not be permanent. I think it should be a pilot. I think it should be about 6 months long. I think it should be a city-owned site. We'll talk about the others later. If we go into others, we're not going to get anywhere fast. So it needs to be a city-owned site. It needs to be individuals. We'll deal with families second, later. I think there has to be a no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons policy at the place. It needs to be near transit. It has to have utilities, electric, water, and sewer. I think we need to think about the logistics of how you do bathrooms, showers, and garbage, and whether or not that's the city can help do that. I think it should be self-governed, and I think it should be structures and tents, but it shouldn't be as makeshift as, say, what we saw at the Occupy site. It should be more organized along the lines of some of the other sites that we've seen around the country. So that's my specific list that I'd like to move forward. I think we need to get that list of sites soon. I think bringing it back, if people like these criteria, then we can move forward as a filter to get some sites in the next meeting. And the other thing we think we need to do is really think about how we educate people about this issue. It's been around for a very, very long time, but we still need to educate a lot of Eugenians, and some of the comments that we've heard in some of the public forums and things like that. We still need to educate Eugenians about who the homeless people are. They are not all drug addicts and criminals. They are people that are down and out, hard on their luck. And those people that are one check away, and then that one check went away, that's who people we're talking about. So there are people that need a place to be and are typically and have been good members of society and continue to be, but they just don't have a house. So we need to provide, I think, a place for them to be. So I'm supportive of those criteria I just threw out, plus with a small pilot of 20 to 30 sites, 20 to 30 people.
I'd just like to make a couple of build on what Alan was talking about. First of all, I have my way to take on here in the list down to the city sites, things that we have some control over. Because I think the other conversation is way too long and way too complicated. complicated, laden with dangerous past. And we've had experience with that. I have said before publicly, and I remain concerned that if we're not going to get in the business of running it ourselves, which is a whole other question, then who is going to run it? And who's got the liability? And, you know, all of those things that have to, who's the governing board? Who is this that's going to do this? I think that's a fundamental question. The question we've been asked thus far from the folks that was for a piece of land for them to take it up and do their own stuff on. And so your question is, if that's what you're going to do, what are you going to require in order to make that piece of land available? And I think there's some real responsibility and governance issues that we have to work our way through if we're going to do that. Last Friday at the City Club, they had a presentation from the school district about all the rising number of unhoused families with kids. And then the loss of some of the services we used to have in first place for such families. And then I thought about that, and I thought about so those families with kids. And then I thought about what do we have the best chance of getting broad community support for to build services for. Families with kids are probably at the top of that list. If you want to demonstrate in some way that we can make headway on providing more services for homeless people, and you can demonstrate that we can do that for a small, let's say there's 25 families out there waiting. If you say 4 kids in each family, you may say, well, I don't think we have the capability for a pilot project to do 25. Maybe we start out with 10 families with 4 kids. That's 40 people or so. And then if you think in your mind, well, people could probably really get behind it. They can see those kids and their families in your mind's eye. And then you say to yourself, well, what does it have to look like to make people feel like this is going to not be just some dirty place or something? So then you have to put a picture in front of them, sort of like Pat was talking about, what the possibilities are for having a very neat, orderly campsite that looks well cared for. And so you'd have to say that's because I think then people don't get so scared of it, because it looks, you've got all the necessities, you've got it lined up, it operates like a neighborhood. And so just offering that is something for you to think about, because what you want is something that you're not going to get too much off. If you're going to do it, you want to be, it's something you have to have a good criteria for and know it's safe for you to do, that probably has the best chance of getting broader community support, and that if you're successful at, you can build on in the future, because you've demonstrated it's possible to do it and provide that opportunity for people, and it feels like we've succeeded and done a good job of moving the bar a little bit in this time of need. So I'm just putting that out there for you to think about as you think about this, about what's doable, what can get the most community support, and how we can move the bar and not just circle around the conversation over and over again. So that's my seconds of whatever. Okay.
I'll go for that. Thank you. I agree with just about everything on Council's wish list, except I think the people should not be individuals. We need to start with families. The need is there. It's clearly there. We can see from the material you provided us. 2 years ago, there were 1,850 homeless kids attending Lane County schools. That's the whole time. That's increased almost 400 last year. There's over 2,285 homeless kids that are going to school in Lane County right now. And we know that St. Minnie's and shelter care and the places that move people from transitional to permanent housing, there's a 1.5 year waiting list. St. Minnie's, I've heard. And so, we're falling behind. The economy has not improved yet. There's hopeful signs, but we've got a ways to go. The need is there. This idea of a small pilot project, we'll never know unless we try it. I believe that this would be a very cost-effective way to transition people into more permanent housing, and I think the people that will have the most motivation to not regard whatever we come up with as their permanent, forever home would be families with children. They are not going to want to live in a tent or a little house or a year forever and ever. They're going to want to move up with their kids and into permanent housing. So, and the idea is not one large, definitely not. And definitely not, well, I hate to use the word segregation, but unsegregated, like mixed in with people with unaddressed mental health issues and drug issues. That can't be that way. We're just talking about families with children, 30 maybe, 30 or 40 total people. If that's successful, we could expand that to other sites. It should not all be in one part of town. It should be around every neighborhood should be able to do this. And who are these people? I've been to First Place many times. They're just like you or me. They're no different. They're just simple. They're just like us, just like you. And they need a little help right now.
So I know we're out of time.
So, right, so we'll come back on October 17th. It's not going to be a real defined list of sites based on a bunch of criteria because we haven't decided on that, other than, I don't know if there's general consensus about city-only sites at this initial screen or not, because I don't know if there's consensus on that either. So,
anybody object to us narrowing this down to city property?
If it's going to be one city-owned, or one city camp, that would be my preference. But if it's not, I wouldn't want to see us narrow it. If what we're going to do is increase capacity for people to do so on their own.
If it's for a pilot, though,
Just for this first-
speed for a pilot.
First?
I don't understand enough about what the pilot means.
I guess they're not ready.
yeah, maybe we can put some stuff together, send it back out, and then either on the 17th, try to nail some of that down more specifically, or sometime, we'll try to frame some stuff
So
out.
John, what you might do is if there's a couple of these that you think are relatively short discussions, but would help tee it up for the next
Right.
large discussion, it's possible we can ask a single question at a council meeting and take up a short period of time, and get that one out of the way. That would help give you more direction for when we have the broader meeting. So maybe you can think about the next few council meetings. Is there a question that you want us to, that you don't think we can guess whether it's going to be a big, long discussion, but there might be
But
some
very
that
focused.
seem, yeah. All right, thank you, everybody.